Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. This is your host, Taylor, and I'm really nervous about today's episode. This episode is going to be about me, and I'm going to be answering the questions that you asked me on Instagram, and some of them are really personal. Some of them will probably be a little hard for me to answer. I will probably be in my head about what is the best possible way to answer this. How do I say this without upsetting someone while also speaking my truth and being honest? So we're going to get into it as I'm an awkward ball of nervousness, but also excitement because there were a lot of comments and questions in the question box, actually, that were very heartfelt and positive. So I was like, whoa. So yeah, I'm here at Robb's chosen father. Robb, welcome again to the show. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for, I don't know, are you emceeing this Q&A? Is that what I would call it?
We'll see. We'll see what we're doing. I'm just going to be asking some questions and maybe diving deeper into some questions. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And these are, again, all questions that you all submitted on my question app on Instagram over the weekend. I did answer a few of them. I think there were 4 or 5 that I answered, but we will revisit some of those as well because not everybody saw that. So one thing I want to note as we get into this is that, I'm not a producer, but I think for me it's important. I've always really valued transparency, both on the podcast and on Instagram and what I show y'all. And it might seem a little repetitive, but I'm going to have Robb read every inquiry, I don't know what you call it. Do I call it an inquiry?
Let's just say every question.
But they're not all questions.
True.
But it's on Instagram in the question box, so
everything that was submitted. How about
every sentence that was submitted, so that y'all kind of get a little bit of a peek into what I see when I just scroll or when I open up the app. So yeah.
So let's dive in. You ready?
I don't know. I guess.
You've read them all already, or most of them. So
yeah, but I haven't spoken about.
That's good.
Them. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it. So I'm just going to go in order here. So our first question is: I organize with Palestinian Activists, and just want to say thanks for propping our post. Solidarity.
Yeah, shout out to them. They're organizing a lot of work to support the Palestinian community, both here in Washington and Seattle, and then also, obviously, in Palestine as well. Their
Nice.
Instagram's fantastic. So
Nice. All right. And then the first question, it looks like the evening is, what do you love most about yourself?
I would say one of the qualities I think I get from my mom that does not come out very often and usually is only once people get to know me, but my playfulness, my goofiness, when I turn into a goofball and I'm just jamming out and going really, really hard on that. That's probably one of the things that I like most about myself because that's when I'm being the most carefree and playful and fun. What'd you think I was going to say?
I didn't think you would say that. I think you would.
Apologize.
I could see you say that, but I wouldn't. I didn't think you would give credit to your mom because I don't think your mom is that. She can be.
She's very, very, very goofy.
Yeah, but for me, it's more of just kind of who she is, and yeah. So I see it. Oops, excuse me. All right.
Well, and apologize also. We will have airplanes going by us. We're in South Seattle now.
South End.
South End.
All right. So the next question, it's not a question. Just want to say, even before you were canceled, you were still make a difference. Canceled.
Thanks.
I don't know if you're still here, so I don't sit well with canceled.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah. No questions, but just want just saying I love you and you're amazing. Did you ever readdress your tweets? If not, you probably should. So this isn't a question, but I don't know what... I mean, she didn't ask a question, so should we keep going?
It's a suggestion. I think it's a suggestion. It was part question, part suggestion. I did not... I feel like I did readdress it. I think I addressed it for almost, 5 different times. I addressed it, and then I did a few interviews on it, and I'm not sure how or why I should address it, or what else there is for me to say that I haven't already said. And so I don't know if that's been missed, but again, I wish that I had gone back and deleted them. I wish I had gone back and looked specifically at what was actually said, not even just to protect myself, but so that every person that could have possibly been offended by anything from that time in my life wouldn't have to see that come up again. And I was just naive, and I just didn't think, well, who's going to go back that far? Obviously, we all said stupid, fucked up shit in 2011, and I was a child.
I said stupid shit yesterday, so...
True. True, we also still say stupid shit today, but yeah, on the internet is a different thing.
Yeah. So so you don't think there's anything more you would want to add, or?
I think I even addressed that my initial response was not an apology. I said that my initial response, what people thought was an apology, was not an apology. Mm-hmm. And I was straight up like, that wasn't an apology. That was a reaction.
Right.
A natural reaction, and also obviously more upsetting for people. Our humanness sometimes upsets each other. That's part of being human. But yeah, I think I already definitely said, the initial reaction was shit. It was authentic and real and very raw, which is maybe, I think, has been one of my strengths on social media, but also obviously is a large part of what triggers people about me, which is a large part of what gets me in trouble, which is a large part of what got me to where I was at with the reason why the tweets even got resurfaced in the first place, strategically. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Next
question. All right. No longer doing OnlyFans.
I am still doing OnlyFans. It's a much more welcoming space than Instagram, and I even find folks are so much more respecting my boundaries. Even before they ask me a question, someone was asking me about foot stuff today, and they want to know if I ever gave a foot job. And they were like, if anyone's ever worshipped my feet, and they were like, sorry, is that okay to ask? And I was like, oh, I love that you're even considering if that's okay to ask. I'm like, yes, you can always totally ask. And I might say, I don't feel comfortable answering that. But just the fact that that's, when people just initially start engaging, they are so respectful and wanting to understand boundaries. And I also understand that not every person on OnlyFans has that luxury of folks respecting their body and their content in that way. So that's felt like a real blessing, and definitely still doing OnlyFans when I've lost all my Instagram income. So OnlyFans is keeping me going. The small amount I can make there is keeping me going. OnlyFans takes 20%.
Yeah.
And I got to pay taxes. Next question.
All right. So maybe a stupid question. Sorry. But how and why are you canceled? You are awesome.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, so we're not answering that one?
It's, I know the cancel stuff is in so many of these questions. And to why I was canceled. Can you say the question again?
Okay. Maybe a stupid question. Sorry. But how and why are you canceled? You are awesome.
I think there's two different answers to that. How and why. Mm-hmm. I think there's the how and why that my tweets from 2011 were fucked up and people were upset at them. And that's how and why. And I think there's also and this is the nuance that I spoke about previously when I addressed it, and this is the nuance that we always talk about on the podcast of listening with open heart, open mind, open ears, because things are layered, things are complex, things are nuanced. There's the second answer of how and why, and that is that of my 6 years in the public eye, even from being an engaged person in the public eye, it wasn't until February 2021 that folks who were upset at me being a outspoken, young, educated Black woman in the white Bachelor franchise, criticizing the host of the show and showing support for the first Black female lead of Bachelorette, that really pissed people off. That I was so vocal and consistent, persistent, and intense, because I'm intense and I'm passionate on this shit, that people wanted to shut me the fuck up. Mm-hmm. And they looked and looked and looked and were trying to shut me up for the entire month.
Yeah, I mean, they were digging. You know how many scrolls you got to do to get to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my second answer to that of how and why was I canceled was because white supremacists of Bachelor Nation wanted to silence me. Mm-hmm. So they dug up tweets from 2011 of my internalized white supremacy, of my internalized ableism, which is also a component of white supremacy, my internalized misogyny, which is also a component of patriarchy, which is also a component of white supremacy, my internalized everything, my wanting to go with the flow, my wanting to be accepted by the white circles I was in. Yeah, all of that.
And I can see your comments now, like, there she goes blaming white supremacy, and and I think sometimes, you know, because I do read the comments. I know you shouldn't read them.
You can't read the comments. But when I saw my mom was reading the comments, I literally started bawling my eyes out, and I was like, oh my God, my mom, stop.
But see, I think for me, I know you, so there's like the reality, and then there's the actuality. That's what I like to, just default to. But I think there's, in this, circle, there's a lot of things that I think it takes a while for white people to understand. And, there's plenty of times myself in the past I have laughed at racist jokes at work because I felt I had to.
Yeah.
Now I know I don't. But I laughed at and
But why now? Why now do you feel like you can? This is, I think, the part that people don't get.
Because I think, it takes a lot of courage to and a lot of work to get to that space. So, when I remember when your tweets came, like when you sent me the tweets of what was happening, I was like, ooh, like somebody is mad at you. And my initial thoughts were like, someone's like photoshopped an old tweet.
That's what a lot of people thought. Yeah, they were like, is this photoshopped? Is your Twitter hacked? I was like,
but then when you're like, no, like those existed, like I was just like, wow, But I think it made sense to me of the person you were then, where you were, like physically then. And then as a person of color, I understood. So I think for me, like they were hurtful, harmful,
perpetuating a lot of
so
shit.
much, but like, I know where you come now, so it's like I'm not going to focus. Like, it's like I'm not going to focus on what you said, even though it was hurtful, because I've kind of been along the journey enough to see what you're doing today, which is the total opposite. So if you came out today and said those things, I'd be like, girl, no, you messed up. Like, you, like, like, you know, but I think I told you this when I read those, the first thing I thought was, where was I? Like, where was I? And I realized, like, I didn't have Twitter at the time, because I know I would have called you up and been like, you know, first, like, what's going on with you? You know, like, but then second, like, you need to take this down because, like, this is just harmful. But, you know, it's easy to sit in my space now and tell you to do that. But then as I sat in it and went back on my own life, I realized there were so many times when I was around, because I grew up around majority white people myself. Yeah. And they would say jokes. I would repeat the jokes. And it was kind of a way to make them know that they could say racist shit around me and it was okay. Yeah. And how I made it okay was saying it back, you know, repeating those jokes. But I know now, like, yeah, you got to work up the courage to be like, no, that's messed up.
Yeah.
You know?
And especially when you are a teenager and you're trying to, like, fit in with people and you're trying to, like, you know, find your group, especially as a freshman in college. Yeah. Like, you don't even know what your values are yet to even live in alignment with your values. And I mean,
it's so many layers. And that's why I said, like when I have this discussion with a lot of my friends of color, not just Black, but Asian, even though you know there were tweets against Asians, they're like, we get it. Like I have an Asian friend who actually told me, like, I've said worse Asian things to my white friends in a sense of, like, you know, like, I'm cool. So I think, like, you know, not to say that people of color won't be offended or anything. And I think
I think there's, like, the understanding that like, we've internalized this and we are, like, the victimized violators. Like, we perpetuate the oppression and the stereotyping and the discrimination that we experience. And that's where I think it is hard for, you know, white people to hear me when I say this and when I kind of give the context and the explanation, because I think a lot of people did want the explanation of, like, where the fuck did that come from? We thought this was photoshopped. Of, like, like, I've been through a process. I've been conditioned in the same society that I talk about. And, you know, when you're like, where was I? Like, there were other people in my life, but all of those tweets were me in conversation with other people. They were me quoting other people in my life that were saying things that was like, oh, this will be funny. Like, and it's not fucking funny. And not a single person in my life at that time that I was tweeting with, that, you know, was in relationship with me, was ever like, oh, Taylor, you should need to, like, take that down. The only thing that ever I was told I needed to take down, do you remember this? Oh,
the one that I found on Facebook?
Was me making out with my girlfriend that I posted on Facebook. Right. That was the only thing in my life that was like, Taylor, you need to, like, take this down. And other than that, it's like, when I talk about anyone else in Bachelor, when I talk about, you know, but really that's what I was talking about at the time, really. It was just other Bachelor people and specifically, you know, the host of the show. And when I talk about, like, people who make mistakes, who perpetuate racism, who actively sit in white supremacy and while benefiting from it, I always talk about context. That, like, I'm not surprised that these things happen because it takes community. It takes culture to reinforce these things. And of course, if no one in your community, if no one in your culture, if no one in your circle is bringing this to your attention, is holding you in relationship to have accountability, no shit, you're going to say some stupid, mean things. Oh,
absolutely. I'm so happy there wasn't, like, camera phones and
that's what everybody
Twitter
be
and all
saying
this
to
stuff.
Me.
Yeah, around when I was young.
That's even what the host of the show said,
Yeah.
where he was like, yeah, I know in the 70s we were playing all these games. Like, yeah, you were saying racist shit.
Right.
You for sure were like saying, yeah, N-word this, N-word that, of course.
And I think they're like, you know, like they're like when someone screws up, and I think this is why it was so weird, because like when in the moment when someone screws up, I think it should be brought to their attention.
Yeah.
And if you want to call it calling out or addressing or whatever. But I think for many years we were silent.
Yeah.
Especially when white people did things that messed up, and we would just amongst ourselves be like, you know, like, girl, did you, you know, but we didn't have, or I want to say we didn't feel we had the power to be like, no, that's incorrect. I mean, you know, we have laws for a reason. Of course, like people break laws. Yeah. And you know, you have police and people like, you know, you just broke the law. You cannot do that for a reason. So I like, you know, I kind of, and if I do something wrong, like if I offended someone, like I would want that person to, you know, if you want to call it, you know, call it out or whatever, like come up to me and be like, you know, like I was offended, like that was messed up or whatever. So
yeah, they would call you in on that. And I think, I mean, like you're saying though, it's like having the power, even just feeling like you have the power. And I think, you know, I definitely, like, literally nobody wanted to call this man out. Nobody wants to call it the host of the franchise that is so fucking powerful. Nobody wants to point to anything that would potentially go against this person.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to do that. I was terrified of doing it, but also felt like I had found my voice and felt like if we're going to talk about, you know, systemic change, if we're going to talk about equity, if we're going to talk about actual diversity, we have to speak up when these things happen, especially when these folks are in such huge positions of power and huge positions of influence that I'm like, yeah, if I've learned anything over the last 10 years, granted, do I think my exact approach was helpful? Not necessarily. There's definitely things I would change on my approach to it, not only for my own mental and emotional well-being, but for also increased productiveness and increased, you know, efficiency, I suppose. But also knowing it still didn't even feel like it actually mattered what I said about it, because I don't actually have the power to change any of any of that. Yeah, but I still felt like, no, if I've learned anything, it's like these are the kinds of things that people would be silent on because it's like, ooh, I don't know. He's like really, really powerful.
And that's the funny thing to me, because you had no, I mean, just when you think of historical context of cancel, like it's like there was a time when white people could cancel someone, especially people of color. They would just
murder
kill them. Yeah, you know, like and so this whole concept of canceled, like I feel is like something that white people still control, because you can call out the host, you can call them out, but you have no power to cancel anybody. Yeah, that decision falls on a white individual. Yeah. So when you have no power, I have no power to cancel anyone. I can be like, what you said was crazy. So I think, you know, when I sat there and read a lot of it, I was like, you know, like Taylor is, you know, calling this person out of power, and a lot of white people are like, you don't do that. Let's go find some dirt on her. You know what I mean? And it was because I was like, you know, like she doesn't have power. Now she might have power to influence, you know, like white people, like, you know, like you guys need to, like, you know, especially if they're allies. Like,
that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I would call them my ally. Like if I saw someone do something crazy that's in power, I know I can go in and go to HR. I can write a letter. Ain't nothing going to happen. But if I can get like a few allies to support me, which has happened in my past, then things happen. So for me, it's like, you know, this whole like cancel culture is still white supremacy. I have no problem saying it without like, and it's all their power. Yeah. So if they didn't want to cancel Chris, they wouldn't have. Yeah.
Well, they didn't. He's not. No. But I actually was listening to a podcast today and learned that cancel, just the word like canceling, so many things white people steal from Black culture and Black community. that like cancel was a phrase that was being used within the Black community, within relationship. Like you did something stupid or like you hurt me, like, you're canceled. Like you're canceled out of my life. And then white people basically took that and pushed it into, you know, the left was using it and then the right was abusing it. And so just, it is another tool of white supremacy. I know there's more questions on this, so
let's move on.
Seeing what people said.
It'll come back up.
It's gonna keep coming back up forever for the rest of my life. At this point,
right,
that's what the internet does.
Here's a heavier one: things to do in Seattle if visiting, please.
Cary Park and Marshall Park.
Now, see, this is why I said it's going to be controversial because you're gonna plug all the things on the north end.
I'm not trying to give away all my favorite spots because there'd be too many people here already when I'd be trying to go to my spots.
On the south end of Seattle,
Kubota
Gardens.
Seward Park.
We have Seward Park. There's beautiful places on the south end.
Absolutely,
I knew this was going to be controversial. All right, let's move on. No question, just thank you for all your thought and continue to teach me. Love your vibe.
Thank you.
And then here's another one. How are you shifting professionally $4 after getting canceled? Hope you're doing okay.
For money. Why you got that face on? For
because I'm
money.
Like, oh,
it's abbreviating.
Okay.
It's the number 4 and a dollar sign and his face.
And you know, it's crazy because I'm a Prince fan and Prince writes like to you and all that, but I'm like for, because I'm thinking like, maybe he's just, dyslexic. I don't know. Anyway, so
I have.
How are you surviving?
Well, like I said, OnlyFans, which
I'm going to call you out on this too, but go ahead.
Okay, my manager said that she saw something on Reddit that said that people were posting that I was making $19,000 on OnlyFans a month, and I was like, what? What? Where? Who? Excuse me. I think in the past, the way that I did my influencer partnerships was very transparent, and I shared a lot of information about how folks could support me. I was very transparent about the brands that were like valuing me. I never took that for granted, and I always thanked the community on Instagram. I thanked the support for me to be able to even have the privilege to monetize it. And I spoke openly about being a therapist and my career there and, student debt and wanting to make therapy affordable for folks. I've spoken very openly about finances, about not having health insurance. I've spoken very openly about that. And I kind of don't feel safe emotionally, physically, livelihood-wise, talking about that anymore because part of it is in y'all's hands. And it's hard because I know there are people who want to support me, but it feels like the folks who do not want to support me have a ton more power and will yield it whenever they see fit, and that's scary. So I will say I have savings that I'm working on. I am doing OnlyFans. I am working on trying to monetize Instagram a little bit. It's harder than it was previously. I was definitely at my peak and had been the most successful I ever would have imagined. Like I never, ever would have imagined being able to partner with the brands that I was and actually was literally for the first time actually feeling valued as someone monetizing Instagram from not just the brand's perspective, but from the community of people on there as well. And what really fucks with my head sometimes too is that the people that were so passionate and like loved what I stood for and like the work I was doing on Instagram were also the ones that were like so quick to just throw it in the trash when they didn't even see that as they are supporting me and the work that I do, of giving in a way, certainly, absolutely, people have every right to feel like actually like hurt and confused and like betrayed by that, but to also not see the bigger picture of like everything I've been talking about and now seeing that I'm literally getting strategically attacked and like silenced, and that you have also now co-opted that, is kind of like a mind fuck of like, oh, I guess it never mattered. I guess it wasn't actually support, because the minute someone sees my humanness, I'm thrown in the fucking trash.
Whenever you go off script.
Yeah, if I'm not providing education on racism to white people in a package where they like it and they get something from me, then fuck her. I know that wasn't the question, but that's where I ended up.
All right. So let's move along here. Just wanted to say I appreciate you, and your presence on my feed makes me smile.
Aww.
Thank you for always speaking up Palestine and other human rights. No question, just sending you love, light, and appreciation for all of you.
Receiving.
Okay. I didn't know if you were getting hot.
I'm waving my arms in. I'm receiving
all right.
the love and the light.
What do you mean you've been canceled? And did it affect you?
I want to say, I know we've said cancel so much in this. I want to say that, like, you can't cancel someone. I want to say that, like, I'm a badass bitch. I ain't going nowhere. You can't fucking cancel me. I exist and I have value. And I think maybe the word is more silenced and, like, robbed.
Mm-hmm.
Attacked.
Mm-hmm.
What else was the question?
So I think they added like, you know, just, yeah, how did it affect you?
Oh. I'll answer that later.
Okay. Are you and Vanessa still friends?
Robert?
They asked you, they didn't ask me.
I'm unsure what to say on this, because it will be a fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's asked, I mean, how many times on this?
They'll see.
Keep going.
How are you feeling? You are looking beautiful as ever.
Thank you. I'm okay.
Okay. Are you still friends with Vanessa Gilmardi? Are you? And that's one question.
You don't know how to say your last name.
Did I say it wrong?
Yes.
Grimaldi. Sorry, mm-hmm. Italian. Mm-hmm. Are you and Vanessa still friends again? How are you canceled? Maybe I missed it. Just thought you were taking a break. So this is something I was thinking about when we were talking about it earlier. That, sorry about that. Mm-hmm. That, yeah, for people just coming on the scene, meeting you, yeah, probably don't know like all the work you've been doing and just read some tweets without even seeing the dates. You know
I think
what I mean?
Some people have also found me somewhat recently and don't even totally missed February, March,
right.
April.
Right. So let's move along. Mm-hmm. Are you and Vanessa still friends? Okay. Open to a respectful and informative conversation with an Israeli about Gaza, Israel. Are you open to that? I would hope so. From what I know from you, I would say yes.
Yes, I am open to that. Mm-hmm. And I also slightly feel like it's a trap. Because I'm supporting Palestine, that it's like, are you open to having a conversation with, what was it?
Are you with an Israeli?
With an Israeli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be. I know that there are a lot of folks even in Israel who don't support what's happening.
Right.
So, I mean, and yes, there are folks who do support it and want that to continue. I'm not a journalist,
right,
you know, and when I watch journalists have these conversations, I'm always like, wow, that's great. Like, great job. As a therapist, if I were having that conversation, if I had a client who was, you know, Israeli and really supporting this, I would still be able to work with them, and that would be something to process. But personally, if I'm just full out Taylor, like I would be respectful, obviously, always, and listen and hear things out. But it would probably be a little bit of a heated conversation if they were, justifying the ruthless murdering, the military complicity and war crimes against children and bombing people. And it just, no. I would have a lot to say, and I would hear you out.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think that you can be strong in your belief of something, but still be able to sit down and hear, the other side.
Like I would really want to hear why this feels so necessary, and just how. I guess I would just really would want to hear how they feel they can support the process in which Israel is established. And if there is any acknowledgement of that being colonization, of that being stealing land, of that being forcing people out of their homes and murdering civilians unjustly. I don't know that there is a way to justly murder people.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously I'm down to have an open conversation and like hear that out. But in that same hand, I would hope that would go the other way as well.
Yeah.
And it could be a mutual dialogue.
Right.
I love those kinds of conversations.
But
I do get passionate.
Yeah, but in that conversation, you do recognize that you don't know it all.
No,
However,
absolutely I don't.
And what you've been reading and seeing, people say, oh, well, it's the media, but what you've been reading and seeing supports your support for Palestine. It's not like you just feel like, because...
Yeah, well, also what I expose myself to as well is like human rights. And so the folks that I'm following, that I'm listening to, Mohammed El-Kurd, Ahmed...
I shouldn't have to tell you.
Oh, I'm totally forgetting his name.
You get on me about people's names.
No, it's his last name. I totally can't even think of it. He's fine. He's fine. Oh my God, what is his
I'm not telling you.
I've shared his name before and on my stories, but yeah, I'm following the people that have actively fought for human rights when they speak on issues. Mark Lamont Hill. He's done a ton of work, activism work. He hosts, what is it called? BNC, Black News Coverage. Yeah, I think it's Black News Coverage, new network. I've supported his work and have loved his work. And he has a whole book about it. He's talked about Palestine for years and years. So yeah, the folks that I trust who actively fight against white supremacy and advocate for human rights, those are the people's that I trust in learning from and getting that education from. And those are the people that are showing support for Palestine.
Yeah. And I think too, what I like to, when I get into this discussion with people, is if I take Palestine and Israel out of the equation, just from the human rights standpoint, is why I feel more comfortable sitting in my position.
They literally don't even allow food into Gaza. Like, Gaza fights for freedom.
If they can, they don't.
Yeah, no, but the government of Israel literally dictates how long their electricity is on. Their electricity will be on for like 2 hours a day. They don't even have running water. I think I'm wrong on this statistic. It's in the documentary. But it's like something like 86% of like over half. It's a large percentage. I'm wrong on this, but it's an estimate, y'all.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of their water supply is even it's toxic. Toxic. And the government won't even allow. And I'm like, none of that is okay. Nobody should be able to like see those guidelines and see those living conditions, knowing people cannot even leave. Even if they're like, oh, why don't they just go somewhere else? They cannot even leave. They've been forced into this small section of the country that is now a open air prison. To just, like I said, passionate. I
think this next question is are you okay? I think it's great follow-up question. Are you okay?
I am all right now. I have not been okay for many, many days. I was not okay at all.
I would say many years, someone knowing you. I mean, you've had good years and bad years, good months and bad months, good days and bad days.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I think your tweets speak to that. Like,
yeah.
Where I thought you were okay.
I don't think I actively knew I wasn't okay. That took a while for me to come to terms and understand that I wasn't okay, which is also how I'm able to see it in other people today.
Right.
I'm like, you think you're okay, but you're not.
Right.
Because I see that. I've been there.
And that's why, like, I was like, oh, I wish, because I would have known, like, yeah, something's off if I would have saw them then.
Yeah.
So here's another one. Why are you still trying to influence others?
That question doesn't make sense to me.
Me neither.
Because I'm showing up on my personal social media page. I don't control the fact that I have 200,000 followers on there that give me the title or opportunity, whatever, to influence. I'm not even specifically trying to do anything at this point other than just exist. I would like to be able to make some money again. I would like to be able to like have like succeed and like continue to grow and, you know, have my career. And I also think everyone has influence. And I think it would be fucked up to not try to use your life experiences, to not try to use your education in some way, to not try to use the privileges that you have to try to influence for the better. Like, literally, and that, I say for the better, and obviously that's subjective because someone who is like very pro-guns would probably say something similar, you know? They have the right to advocate for whatever they feel, and just as I do, right? I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but everyone does have a certain level of influence. And what, am I just supposed to shut the fuck up forever and never use my voice and not exist and not show up because I made mistakes and I internalized white supremacy and I said stupid shit that I thought was funny, that everyone else around me was saying, that I then grew up from, that I then learned from, that I then changed, that I then actively went against for years? So why are you not using your Instagram to have better influence than what you do, coming on my feed and asking me silly questions like that?
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
No.
I was like, I'll be influencing my 12 followers, so.
No, I'd be asking the troll account.
Right.
The troll account. Like, I see their icon, their bot account, whatever it is.
But to me, it's more like you are educating people. People decide if they're influenced or not.
Yeah, people choose to
you're not
hear
I don't
and
look at
see
you
things.
as this special, like, mind control, like, go buy the vibrators. Like, I feel like you deliver a message, and if someone is influenced by the message, that's up to them. Like, people have power over themselves. All right, next question. No question. Just wanted to say how much I appreciate you, your work, and your person.
This is honestly the nicest question box I think I've ever had.
Okay. Did you and your partner break up? I'm just reading the questions. I thought you addressed this, though.
So I did answer this one on Instagram, and I've decided I no longer want to speak about my relationships publicly for however long, until maybe I change my mind one day. But for a few reasons, I know it's hard because people found me from a dating show, so they want to know about my dating. My dating is also a very vulnerable thing. Your relationship is very vulnerable, and I'm a Cancer, and I take that shit real seriously, and like want to protect it, and like will cut a bitch if someone tries to fuck that shit up. Obviously not literally, just being dramatic.
I was going to say, you influence people,
joke,
so be careful.
Making a joke. I've literally never punched anyone in my life. But if someone do knock on my door, though, I grab a knife because I'm like, who's at the door? But I don't feel like it's fair to subject my partner to the harassment that I get on social media. I think seeing how swift and quick everything can be taken from you from something from 8-10 years ago on social media, that is just scary. That is just really scary. And I don't want my partner to have to be associated with that. And that's really sad because, I mean, even before, I remember being on Paradise, and one of my fears, ain't even did nothing wrong at that point. And I was just so scared that, like, no one would want to associate with me, and, like, push people away because I was like, you're not going to want to date me because people are going to comment. And they did. And they were like, you shouldn't date her. She's a terrible person. You don't even fucking know me. So, like, I don't think it's fair for my partner to receive death threats on my behalf. I don't think it's fair for people to, or I guess my boundary is I don't want people to have access to knowing who my partner is to potentially hurt them because they want to hurt me. And that's just like a really shitty reality that existed even before the tweets came out, honestly. And I want to protect any relationship that I'm in. So I just don't want to talk about it anymore, whether or not I'm in a relationship or I'm not in a relationship or if I'm dating. And that sucks because I love talking about dating. And I think in relationships, there's so much like challenging and growth and like experience that happens that impacts me and impacts how I show up. And that's things I'm going to share with people because that's like the beautiful part about social media is when we show up authentically, it helps our mental health because we see we're not alone. We see things we can relate to. We learn things. And that's what I really valued and what my intention was in showing up there. So now I just have to put myself first, my safety, my physical safety, my emotional safety, and also that of my partners because, as I'm sure we'll see as these questions continue, my dating life is something y'all really want to get at. People tried to, literally were like petitioning to report me to animal control to get Lily taken away from me.
I know.
Because they thought I was a terrible person. I didn't deserve to even have my cat.
And I mean, I just think too, like, you're so careful with your words. Your partner sign up to date you and not Instagram. And that's a lot of stress, you know. I mean, your partner, I mean, they've gotten death threats. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not like a fashion beauty influencer. I'm not like a mommy influencer. Like, I talk about some real shit.
Right.
I talk about some shit that's going to piss people off. And even when I don't talk about shit, my sheer presence and how I exist in my personality, in my body, in my mind, in my spirit and soul pisses people off.
Right. Oh, you trigger people.
A lot. Dead ass. Before even the first episode on the show. Just my photo.
Yeah.
Just my photo, my age, my job. That was it. People were already signing for my license to be taken away and discrediting me and
you trigger people
hating me.
Just because you stand in a space of where you shouldn't exist. A woman with color, attractive, smart, So, like, and when I read a lot of these comments that the women and men leave to try to, like, belittle you or bring you down to their level, it's always like, you know, like, you're not that pretty, or you're not that smart, or
be humble.
Yeah. So anyway, now on to the next question.
On to the next.
Thank you for speaking up about Palestine. Are you still friends with Vanessa? Have you done a podcast on vaginismus? Did I say that right?
Vaginismus.
I'm learning this. I don't even know what this is. Tips, treatments. I feel so alone experiencing this.
Yeah. I have not done an episode specifically on vaginismus yet, but I do have a friend who is a sex therapist who does specialize in this, who is hopefully coming on the podcast soon. We have been trying to schedule, so stay tuned because there should be an episode on that coming up.
And can we say that word slowly? When vaginismus?
Vaginismus.
Oh, so I said it right. Vaginismus. Must. It's a U. Must.
Vaginismus.
It's not must? Miss?
I haven't heard people say must. I hear vaginismus.
Okay.
Now you got me saying it wrong. I don't even know.
But she feels alone, so.
Yeah, you're absolutely not at all alone.
How are you?
I'm okay right now.
Why did you put quotations, I guess, around canceled? You were canceled. You were in the wrong, Major. Like, I guess why'd you put, I don't know what they're referring to, but canceled? Like.
Yes, they don't like that I put canceled in quotations because they're saying I was canceled. I was in the wrong. So don't put it in quotes because that makes it seem like it's not a real thing.
So many people just telling you how to be, you know, like.
This is so far has been very, very PG compared to what typically happens.
Like the policing though. Like it's just, you know, like it's kind of like, once again, like we want you to, you're off script, you know, like we want like, and if you didn't put it in quotations, someone would be like, why didn't you put it in quotations? So who, like, just please keep pleasing you. Cause I mean, like.
Well, I put it in quotations because I think the idea of canceling a human is wrong. No matter what they have done. I never, even in calling for Chris, the host of the show, to lose his job, I was not advocating for canceling him. He will still make lots of money. He's
making probably more money. I mean, he's not having to work, but isn't he an executive producer of the show?
He was last I knew. So I was never advocating for canceling anyone that had like done or said messed up things in the present or in the recent past. I think that's where people get confused because they're thinking I think there was actually a question on this, so I'll hold that part. But I don't put it in quotes to say that I wasn't in the wrong. Absolutely. Everything in those tweets was in the wrong. I don't deny that, and I don't expect, nor do I ever want anyone to be like, oh, no, that wasn't that bad. Or like, oh, no, that was okay that she said that then. Like, no. I put it in quotes because I think it's like against human rights to cancel someone. I think the only people that canceling actually hurts are women and are women of color because even the super powerful white men that are quote unquote canceled are still pretty good.
Yeah, show me a white male who was canceled that isn't like.
And I also just don't think it's productive. Like, I would 1,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times, that powerful white male who's being, quote, canceled, still show the fuck up. Show up in a better way.
But they don't have to. So why?
I know. But I have to.
Right.
For literally just to me to even be cool with my own existence, I have to.
You're not a white male.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Because Chris is okay.
Yeah, he's fine, and I don't want him to be canceled.
Yeah.
I literally wanted to work with perpetrators of sexual assault. Like, I wanted to work with prison populations. Like, I don't think that even when people do really fucked up things, that they deserve to be treated like they are inhumane.
But I think you should speak on that because you tapped on it, but I think it would help people understand the difference between someone losing their job, not being able to serve their job, and someone being canceled.
Yeah. I mean, to me, being canceled is when you are literally trying to remove that person from all being of existence, that they don't ever get to work. They don't ever get to show their face. They should live in a pit of shame and essentially kill themselves. That is literally what people have repeatedly encouraged and told me to do, and at times that I felt like I needed to. And that's also this whole twisted piece of all of this that like fucks with my head too, of like, yes, I advocate for mental health. I work in the space of mental health because I have also struggled with my own mental health. And then when folks who also support mental health see that I actually struggled with my mental health, but it doesn't align with them, then they actually just want to harm my mental health even more because they feel that I've hurt their mental health. And it's like, where are we going?
Right.
Where are we? What are we doing, people?
And I want my therapist in therapy. Like, isn't that what they promote?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
But to me, when you're canceling someone, you are sending such a specific message. It's an attack. I think asking someone to do the work, to do some internal work, Chris is not my responsibility. He is not I am not in a relationship with him. That's not my responsibility. So I wish I would have chilled out a little bit, but in calling for him to lose his position is not saying, it is not the equivalent of saying, shut up forever. You have lost all value in who you are. You should disappear and go away forever because fuck you, you terrible human being.
Yeah, so, I mean, just hearing that, I don't think, once again, any white males have lost their job. Absolutely. But they haven't been canceled. I have seen repeatedly.
They may feel that.
Oh yeah, because I can empathize with that. But when I see it reversed, like I see how they're coming free. Like they're literally trying to cancel. Like they want you canceled.
Yeah, from every.
They don't want you to lose your job. Like these.
Well, they do, but it's not just that.
Right.
It's
they want you canceled.
Gone.
Yeah. So
that's why I put in quotations, because I don't ever advocate for that, and I don't think. And I also think canceling people because they say messed up things doesn't allow room for growth. How does that allow for us to evolve as individuals if we can't ever say something and change our fucking mind and learn differently?
Right.
Like, I want to see that. I'm not entitled to it. I'm not in relationship with all these other people, right? But shit, if they can do it in their own personal life, that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
If they can give back to the community that has given them the privilege of being able to monetize social media, that's fucking fantastic. Yeah. Next.
I'm so proud of you. You've handled every topic challenge with humanity and rawness.
Thanks.
And then we go right to this. Maybe you should die a martyr. Then people will actually feel bad for you. I've seen this, but I think this person actually was in support of you. No, because I'm thinking this person already feels bad, but they're saying maybe if you just died, then actually people would be, maybe this is just my own projection, but maybe people would feel bad then, what they're doing. So I don't know. I've read that different.
I see that. I don't think that's where they are coming
but
from.
they capitalize the then people will actually feel bad for you. So I think this person is a supporter, in my opinion.
But then maybe you should die a martyr. Then people will actually feel bad for you.
See why this commenting is...
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I've also received many iterations of this. And I think just even in that, like, that's heartbreaking. Like, I have to die. I have to lose everything. Maybe be homeless. Be in severe poverty. Die.
Then people will be like...
For people to actually see me as human or to actually care. And I've thought of that. I literally have thought, wow, maybe if I do actually kill myself now, maybe that would make a difference. Maybe people will actually be happy. Maybe that is how people are able to move forward from how harmful my tweets were. That maybe then that's how people feel they can forgive me, because apparently I need to remove myself entirely. And then it's this whole other thought process that I have to be like, I mean, Grant, I've been there before in my life, but I'm like, I know how to cope differently today. This is also on just a massive fucking scale of people encouraging this for you and feeling so justified in it. And it just, I know that's not the answer. And I also feel like it's so messed up that even has to be a thought of like, maybe people would be nicer to me. Maybe people would.
I think if you were homeless, they would just show you on TMZ, like, look at Taylor now, you know, like, and I think one of the disgusting things of this country is that I think we take pride in building people up just so we can tear them down.
Because that gives people power.
Right,
because you have the power to tell someone.
We don't have that power, but people do. And I think, like, when I look at DMX, like, how now everyone looks at him different, and people are like, oh, like, I thought, you know, because now he's dead, people. So it's all projecting your own thoughts.
Nancy Pelosi, thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing.
Right, what did she sacrifice? Right. So, but here's the...
Yeah, but, like, who cared to give him fucking community resources to help him with his own life? You only now care because he's dead.
And we feel bad, but we didn't before. So,
and it's like I posted because someone commented and was just like all caps yelling at me, "You are the worst person ever." And I shared it, and I was just like, imagine these being the words that the last words that someone reads before deciding whether or not to kill themselves. And the responses that I got were like terrible.
No,
they were like, yeah, well, people probably felt the same way when they read your tweets, so you probably just should. And I'm like, wow.
And granted, someone could have.
And yes, they absolutely could have.
That's why you have done the work. So this is that,
and it's not in relationship.
Right.
Those tweets were not to any one specific person.
Right. It wasn't like to you or these.
Like the people that are reading it today, I understand. It feels like, wow, she's saying this today. I'm not saying it today. I'm not saying it to you. And obviously, yes, I wish I could go back, and I wish no one had to read that. No one, people in my own like personal life who even knew friends right before all of this, who like some of the worst stuff they could relate to. And it's like, yeah, oh my God, no, I wouldn't like. Literally, like 2 days before, was advocating in the exact opposite way for someone in that position. That, like, no, those are not my words today. That is not what I would say to you or to anyone today. Not even fucking thoughts that come up in my head today. And then it's just a whole, when people are just literally encouraging that you erase yourself, then it's just like, wow, am I that person? Am I still that person today then? Do I think these things then? And now with like everything that comes up of like, I see someone who's fat and I'm like, oh, wow. Do I think that tweet that was about fupas right now? No, I haven't for years. But now I'm being pulled back into that. And then I'm also like, don't let that fucking get to you now, because this is exactly what the people that wanted to silence you
they wanted you to head. This is how they control.
Yeah.
I mean, Billie Holiday. There's so many, like, they get in your head and
I
they
watched
just...
the Billie Holiday documentary. Was so good. And I was like, oh my God, I feel seen.
Yeah. So they
not
just,
to like make it about me, but I was just like, wow, I feel like I can relate to some of this.
Because I think when you can just beat a person down, you control them. And I think a lot of your haters, I'm going to say it, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to control you because they're so bothered and triggered. And, you know, like I think your supporters support you. I think there were some supporters that were like probably felt indifferent, and they either...
Well, it's a process. Some people absolutely feel betrayed, and you need some space, and I get that. Some people needed space.
And that's why I said, like, you've done this from those tweets to now, it's been 10 years. Yeah. So it might take people, you know, a few months or a year to do that own work as well. But it is what it is. Let's move along. As a fellow Black biracial therapist, just want to say I see and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I know I'm late, but you are indeed a bad bitch, and I love what you post. And then this one is, have you heard about the latest residential school graves in Canada?
Yes.
Craziness.
It's not crazy. It's a given.
It's crazy.
They knew that those grave sites were there.
Of course they did.
And they didn't want to search for them. The Canadian government literally went against a movement and request to search the graveyards at all these different residential schools because they fucking knew.
Right.
Because they knew.
No,
and it happened anyway. And I'm not surprised.
Right. The reason why I said it's crazy because like years ago you were, I mean, not years, like maybe a year ago you were like, if you had the opportunity to live in Canada or America. And
okay, that's because we had fucking Trump, and I just needed a little bit of an escape, okay? I know that there are still fucked up things there. I know that Canada equally has racism. Yeah.
And I'm like,
I understand that, but I just needed to get away from fucking Trump.
It's the same coin. Like, you're just running from the one side of the coin to the back.
Yes, but I was like, give it to me differently. Just give it to me differently,
And
please.
I think Canada's been really good at just kind of erasing a lot of their racism. Like... So for me, it's
hiding
like,
it.
you know, there's like, I love Vancouver, like, but it's like, no, I wouldn't run. So my craziness wasn't about that, but just kind of the past conversation.
Yeah. But no, I do know about it. And I mean, there's so many Indigenous people that I follow on Instagram who are amazing, who are like, literally, I literally cry. And I remember showing it to Naya, and she was like, just her eyes were just like blown up, like watching them do like their cultural dances and all the colors, and like explaining to her, like, yeah, people used to not let them do this. Like, their grandparents, you know, would be harmed if they did their cultural dances. And so now these children do this to honor their ancestors and to embrace their culture. Because sometimes people look at other people's culture, and because it's different, they think it's bad. And just her watching it, she just like loved it. And just seeing it, I mean, it's so powerful. And I mean, it's an absolute travesty. It's fucking devastating. It is... I mean, fucking evil. The shit that the Indigenous populations have had to endure.
Still enduring.
Yes.
Like, people's like, you know, the history. I'm like, it's not history.
Now.
It's common. Yeah, it's today.
It's now.
Right.
We're going to put the link at the bottom of this episode to that woman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's a video that y'all need to go watch. She just went in, and I loved every minute of it. And she made such a great point to this journalist that was being rude as fuck, this white lady. And she made a point to just say, I love the way she said it too. She's like, white lady, you have had the podium for 500 years.
You have been seen.
You've been seen. Your voice has been heard. And how quickly did this white man come in?
Now you're giving it away.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was so good. It was so good. And yeah, it's still happening today. It's so fucked up. I really hope Bill and Melinda, you own the most real estate in the entire fucking country. Let's get that land back. And even learning more about like the indigenous like practices, braiding sweetgrass. I'm like, wow, what a different fucking world this would be if we did not have colonization and settlements in the States, in the founding of the United States here. How much more fucking cohesive and like togetherness we would have as a collective peoples through the culture and practices of the indigenous communities. Our earth would be happier. Our health would be happier. Our fucking like purposes and shit. I mean, it just... I like mourn it.
Yeah. No,
I'm like, I would have wanted to be a part of that, not this.
Yeah, no, I
didn't consent to this shit.
I listened to a little Native American Apache Native American kid speak, and one of the things is they call us savages. But if we're
dehumanize.
But if our people are savages,
what's that make y'all?
What are they? And
what's that make the colonizers?
Yeah, good question. All right, let's move along. Not a question, just your hair is so amazing. You look beautiful. And
Stop straightening it.
And then it says, why do you consider yourself canceled in quotations, but consider it accountability for others? Good question.
Do we feel like I've partially answered that?
Yeah, but okay. I mean, I think...
So I don't consider... Again, I said what I said about just the term cancel for humans. The accountability piece...
is the work. I think it's...
Yes. Yeah. It is the work. It is the repair within yourself and to those you've hurt, which obviously is not even necessarily up to you for that to be forgiven or, accepted. And I think I'm considering it canceling, quote unquote, because again, what I already said, for myself, because this was not, wow, Taylor said some really mean things and she needs to do better than this. We don't know how she feels about this. This is does she know better than that? We need to let her know that's not what it was.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a major piece too, though, because people are she came out the next day, she didn't do the work. But what people didn't realize is the tweets were 10 years ago and you have been doing the work. So yeah. I think that was one of the hard things for people to think, because I think people just read the tweets thinking maybe it happened yesterday. We don't read the dates. We don't, and you didn't come out and say. Well, there were some
circulations where they took out the date
cut it out.
Too.
But yeah, so I think a lot of people were they don't know, you've been doing the work for more than a little over 10 years.
Yeah,
and you're continuing to do that work.
To.
So that's the accountability piece. So if Taylor was on her, she would have probably more issues with me. But if, back in December, if Taylor was commenting the way she was with
in December.
No, I'm saying December, before it all this came out. If you were commenting you were
in 2011.
In 2011, I would have shut down her. I would have silenced her. You
would have called me in. You would have said, Taylor, get your ass here.
I would have been there probably.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the important thing too, right? Because when people do mess up, oftentimes it's because it's reinforced in their bubbles, like I said earlier, and it becomes a problem when it is in the public eye and other people call it to their attention, right? And where back then I didn't have people in my life that would say those things because everyone else was saying that. Today, throughout the last 10 years.
Which is a good thing.
Absolutely. I have people in my life now that would be like, Taylor, that actually like wasn't like, I know even, I'm sure there's people listening now that are thinking about this. I talk about fat phobia and anti-fatness a bunch. I try to. And there are many parts of that I don't get 100% because it's not been my lived experience, because I have different privileges within our culture of being a thin-bodied person. And there are times where close friends have to pull me in and be like, yeah, like, I don't agree with you on that. Like, you know, I think you should change that part up. Like, this actually says that, where I'm like, okay. And I have a lot of questions and I go through it. And I have even shared that. I have done like Instagram lives and have like IGTV videos and have podcast episodes where I like walk that through. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts, is showing people that accountability, of showing people the messy parts. But when we weaponize that against each other, there's no one's going to want to do the work, and no one's going to want to feel safe to even do the messy work, because it means their entire livelihood, their entire existence, their entire being could be told is wrong and shunned and shamed and like fucking might as well be executed. Right.
And that's why I think it's important. Like, I tell all my white ally friends, like, you're going to mess up in this work.
Yeah. And like, that's why I've said publicly so many times.
I'm expecting you to screw up, and you're going to have big screw ups and you're going to have like small screw ups. And I might come, like, some of your screw ups, I might come gracefully. Some screw ups, like, I'm not going to come gracefully. But just to know, like, it's from a place of me wanting you to learn. And like, big screw ups, like, you need to learn, like, that it's a big screw up, and you need to like know that was a big screw up. And if they're open to that, like, then I'm going to be there. You know, I'm with them in the process.
Yeah. Well, and I do just think here, maybe to more like succinctly address this question, is accountability. There's a great course. Actually, I guess it's coming up in June. Sonia Renee Taylor and Dr. Loretta Ross host a course on calling in, calling out, calling on culture. It's fantastic. They have one for Black people and one for white people. So highly recommend checking that out. The one for white people is happening in June. So now. And
you know how much that is? Because it's not
like
really
$20.
Expensive. Yeah.
It's really affordable. It's like $20, and they do offer scholarships as well. But it's a 4-week course, and it was fantastic. And one of the things Sonia talked about was like accountability happens in relationship. Like, I'm not holding Chris Harrison accountable on my Instagram. I don't. No, that's not accountability. Accountability.
He probably never even saw your Instagram.
Honestly, you probably didn't see shit I said. You probably didn't. But accountability happens in relationship.
Right.
And that's... the question again. You don't have to hold it.
It's right here.
Yeah, I think I ask for accountability for others. And honestly, I don't even necessarily think I'm in the right in, like, I'm not the one holding these other people accountable because they don't belong to me.
You don't have a relationship with them.
I don't.
Right.
So I'm going to call it out. I'm going to say, yeah, that needs to be better. That should probably not be like that. But I'm also not canceling them. And I really hope that at this point in the episode, it's clear when I'm saying cancel. And what was happening with me was not people asking me for accountability. I understand, because people read it in present day. A lot of people saw it that have not even followed me.
Right.
And a lot of people, that whole month of February, more and more people, for the first time ever, that I had talked about Bachelor and the critical ways that I do, especially around race, were people actually starting to follow me.
Right.
Was my engagement actually starting to increase with talking about it? That was the first time ever. Usually every time I'm losing thousands of followers. And in that, I think there were a lot of people who hopped on board and then were like, skirt.
Yeah.
And it makes absolute sense. If you didn't follow me before, if you weren't familiar with me, if you put me up on this pedestal, if you had this image of who you thought I was or who you wanted me to be for you, and you saw my reaction the next day, which poorly done.
It was a reaction.
It was a reaction.
Yeah.
It was a defensive reaction.
Right.
Because people were no one was calling me in for accountability because
I think some people think they were.
They think they were.
Yeah, I think that, and this is why it's so.
But even my friends, even the women who are high key active in freaking Bachelor,
right?
Even those women that called me in, it wasn't like, you need to have accountability.
Right.
Like, you need to understand where you've done wrong, because they know.
Right.
They know.
And that's the piece I'm speaking on, because you came out with your statement and people were like, see, she's not like, because they're thinking this happened yesterday. Like, she's not being accountable. She's not even like recognized. Like, she's being defensive and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it was just seemed so hard for them to connect the 10 years of work. So it's not a tweet.
And I don't know how to show, like, I can't.
Right. You can't do that, like, because you don't know what they're seeing. You don't know.
Yeah, but it's also, it's been in the work and how I've showed up since I've been in the public eye.
Right.
So it's like there are so many more receipts for that than there are for these tweets. And I just naively thought that I never went back. I rarely use Twitter to begin with.
Right.
And only as of recently, literally because of the stuff that was going on in Bachelor Nation, did I go back to Twitter. Largest mistake. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to stay away from Twitter, obviously, because when I used it back in the day, it was like a creepy, weird place. Mm-hmm. And it was like not a place for good things. And I think entering back into that space, I didn't consider ever going back and looking. I'm a Cancer. I'm very sentimental. There are very few things that I've archived on my Instagram. Mm-hmm. Even I go all the way back on Instagram, because I like Instagram a lot better because it's like pictures and I love seeing all like my old foster kittens and shit. But even the things on my Instagram that I was like, oh, like that wasn't like the best thing. Mm-hmm. But I was still like, that's where I was. Mm-hmm. That's where I was.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really use Twitter. And I really never thought I needed to go back, because I thought, well, if anyone goes back that far, like you'll see from 10 years, even the like years that I didn't use it, just even my podcast episodes and seeing the topics that I'm talking about and providing awareness and platform on where, I just thought there's so many more receipts for these other things.
Right. But I think you.
But I get it. It didn't. People don't register
so
like that.
So you have your followers that like follow you and they get you and they're like, yeah, that was some crazy stuff. Thank God you've moved on to that. Then you have the new people just coming in like, whoa, like, there's a lot going on. Maybe I should, step out of that. And then you have your haters that all they were looking for. So they came in hating you. They came.
I think that's the part people also don't get.
Yeah. Finally, they got something on you.
Yeah.
And this is like the only thing they have. So they're going to like.
I mean, it's a lot of that. But it's also
absolutely.
like in one small period of time.
Right. But it's kind of like, we hit gold and this is what we're going to tear her down with as long as we can ride it out.
Yeah.
So I think, and I've had conversations with you about this as well. It's like, why, like you have, and it's human nature, but this is in your realm of work, but it's like, you have people that support you. You have people that love you. You have people that are standing beside you. You have people that are holding you up. Yet you speak, and I think it's not you. It's just, I think human nature, we continue to play to the haters.
Yeah, I always used to say my petty fuels my work, and that's not sustainable. I've
because
learned.
It's like, why aren't we embracing the love and putting so much energy into the people that hate?
Because we're told that we shouldn't. Because we're told, like, don't think so highly of yourself.
Right.
We're told,
there's a lot of people.
You're going to let other people, like, give you, like, external validation. And, like, you're going to, like, believe that support. And so, like, I want to be unfuckwithable.
Right, but let me ask you. Let me ask you this: Is this
either.
But like, and during our work, like, it's kind of like you shifted back to that person that you were, because it's like you're fighting to please people that don't like you instead of embracing the community that does. So when you wrote those tweets years ago, it's kind of like, accept me, like, I'm with you. Mm-hmm. And then you come present day and you have all these people that are supportive, they understand it, they get it, but yet you're still trying to convince people that hate you, mm-hmm. regardless. And that's why when you put out, like, they probably sit at home and say, like, if she says this, like, this would be good. You come out and say it, and they're like, that's not good enough. You didn't, like, you looked away from the camera. So it's like, why give so much energy? And we do it in relationships. Why do we give so much energy to that person that doesn't serve us? Mm-hmm. And yet when we date that person that does serve us, we get bored. We get, like, it's boring. Like, we have all these negative things. So it's like, yeah, I think as a society, we need to just create and support and speak to that community of love more than the haters, because that's what they're supposed to do. They're not going to change. We're not going to win them over. They wake up hating. That's just what they do. And we put so much energy trying to change them. And in the meantime, are we pushing away the support that we have? Mm-hmm. So just something to think about. Because we got a lot of questions to get through.
Yeah, it's fine. This will probably be a 2-part episode.
Okay.
I will probably split this into 2. And maybe this is a good place to say that and say I might insert a little, this does it for part 1. Tune in next week for part 2. All right, that does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for making it all the way through and keeping your ears, your hearts, and your minds open. It would mean so much to me if you could take a second or two after listening to this episode to leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you're enjoying about the show. I love reading, what your favorite episodes are, where you guys listen, and definitely feel free to share this with a friend. I mean, part of how we break down the stigmas around these topics is by talking about them, right? And sharing them with more people. So definitely share the podcast. And again, really wanting to include all of you in this podcast. So if you have questions or you want to share a thought or an experience, please send in a voice memo to ask.letstalkaboutit@gmail.com. And I'm really excited to keep having these conversations and breaking down these stigmas. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next time.